All right, we will do an around the room set of introductions as part of our open board meeting in a little while. So welcome to the annual meeting. I am going to, this is Bob Bixler, our chairman. I'm going to read our antitrust statement aloud to you. It is rather long, but this is how it is. It's one of those. There's nothing that we're going to talk about you can't hear.
Yeah, sure. I'll hold the door. Herodias at the gate.
I saw your creek.
Yeah, Mike's on the last couple. Okay, all right. It is the policy of the Indiana State Poultry Association to strictly comply with all applicable federal and state antitrust and competition laws. Compliance encompasses not only abiding by these laws in every respect, but also honoring their spirit and purpose. ISPA expects each of its members and allies to faithfully honor all such laws, both during official ISPA functions and during social and other informal ISPA gatherings that may occur from time to time. Participants at ISPA events or when interacting at non-ISPA events will not exchange information or form agreements relating to pricing or other competitively sensitive topics, including but not limited to information concerning individual participants' rates, customer sales agreements, costs, production plans, coverages, market practices, claims, or settlement practices. Each participant is obligated to speak up immediately and alert ISPA President Rebecca Yonishkan if they hear any discussions that fall outside of these bounds. Violating the antitrust laws can have severe consequences, not just for ISPA as an organization, but also for its members and allies and their respective employees. Penalties for antitrust violations include criminal fines for culpable organizations, as well as potential prison sentences for individual bad actors. ISPA reserves the right to expel from membership or otherwise discipline ISPA members or allies whose actions violate its antitrust compliance statement or ISPA's antitrust compliance policy. Thank you for your attention. If you are unable to abide by the antitrust policy, I ask that you leave now. Thank you. All right. Go ahead and start clicking. First off, I do want to do a special introduction to Kyle Banaszak, who joined our staff in early September. He has a Bachelor of Science in Food Science from Purdue University and previously worked for USDA FSIS at both Indiana Packers, swine packing, and Miller Poultry. And we're very happy to have him and his strong background in food safety. Please don't hesitate to reach out to him if there are questions or projects or issues that come up. I'm happy to have you pull from his knowledge and see him as a resource to all of you in a little different area than we've been in before. So welcome, Kai. Our board election results. Oh, we already did them. Let's see. So we've just completed our most recent election. These are the results. If your name is Miller, you're do pretty well. Appreciate Galen Miller, Joe Miller, Dan Kraus, Bob Bixler, Steve Miller, and Mike Maroney's willingness to continue to serve on the ISPA board of directors. We also had 3 contested races, so appreciate the interest in joining us. I think it's a good sign of interest in being involved, and certainly encourage people to find. We'll do our best to engage you and include you, but appreciate your interest. That's you can see kind of where we are the next couple of years. Next. These are our officers for the 25-26 fiscal year. So Bob Bixler will be rolling off as chairman, and Joe Dart will be joining us. We appreciate Dan Kraus staying on and doing the secretary treasurer. Steve Miller is on deck. And in September, we will do elections for the second chairman. So that's a little ways out. We do have a little something for you, Bob. Thanks for your service. So thank you. You've had, there's been quite a bit going on the last 2 years, and really appreciate you being there and your dedication. And
thank you very much.
You are welcome. Please, we just wanted you to be able to see here quickly, all of our avian members, happy to report. At this point in time, all commercial poultry companies in Indiana, any reasonable size, our avian members are part of Indiana State Poultry Association. Within this year, we have gained Vital Farms and Hanson Brook are two of the companies that have come on this year that hadn't been with us in the past. So very pleased with that. And then we have appreciate our allied members, and as we've changed our membership structure, appreciate those of you who kind of made that commitment, and some of whom are here with us today. And oh, and Dan Wilson was going to be with us today, and he emailed me this morning that he is ill. So we sent Gabrielle. Thank you. Coming up soon, Jeffrey's been very actively working on this as member clips. Do you want to say a little about that? Just keep watching here.
I'll keep it brief. This is a new membership portal that we're building into our website. We're going to be putting resources in there, AKA a directory of our members, so that allied and avian can interact with each other through there or get contacts. We'll be putting meeting materials in there, the Perch newsletter, they'll live in there as an archive. More to come. Of course, membership renewals and signups will be handled through there, as will banquet registration. Time to launch. Hopefully in the next coming month, those who are members will be getting an email just saying like, hey, the portal is live. You can go in. You'll be in there. It's your email. So you basically just log in with your email and everything. So that's just a tease, but coming soon.
Thank you. Just a quick review, our recent membership dues, kind of our change in the way we do that and the amounts. So just have these tables included. Our membership year is July 1 to June 30th. For our existing avian and allied members, we won't do billing until probably September. We're going to try to work on some new members here in July and August. Because we didn't send those bills out until last fall. So trying to generally stay, in about the same period of your financial year as well. Let's see, next. So yeah, I didn't put much on this slide. We would definitely, if you have companies that you think would benefit from membership in ISPA, certainly encourage you to just walk up to them and say that, or send me an email, and I'm happy to reach out, and we'll be, we're definitely going to try here in the next 6 months to increase the number of our allied members in particular. You see somebody missing, let us know. Our financial standing and funding, we continue to have a strong financial position. Our funding sources are our membership fees are a large portion. And then our USDA cooperative agreement funds, which we just received that award, and that all went in final here in the last month. So even with the disruptions at the federal level, that was delayed a bit, but we have gotten our USDA cooperative agreement funds that we use to support our NPIP activities and our visits. I think most significantly, our visits out to our avian member farms. And we also do our backyard and small fluff outreach with those monies. We do get some monies through our Indiana Turkey Market Development Council, which is a checkoff program specific to turkey production in the state of Indiana. We have our fundraising events. We've also, this year, we're very appreciative of new structure at Midwest Poultry Federation, where we get a nice dividend from the Peak show in Minneapolis. So thank you for your participation there. And I think if you're an Indiana company, we just automatically get your dividend. But if you can ever fake your address being Indiana, that'd be great. Okay. And then we do have some savings, and we've been trying to invest those more intentionally to benefit some. Those are our sources of funds. This is a website that US Poultry does that you can go and look at and get a sense of the economic impact of poultry in Indiana. If you've never looked at that before, it's kind of interesting. Next. Kyle, would you like to talk about this?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
So we have created a new online version of our blood testing school. I don't even know, we do 2 in-person classes in the spring of each year, but these are more geared towards like backyard folk and 4-H participants. So we've launched this commercial version of the blood testing school that's more geared towards commercial poultry company employees. Go to the next slide, Deborah. This new landing page, this will be the link that we give out. It has both of those schools, our AI swab school and the blood testing school when you want to go to. And just, I'll go over this very briefly, but the new blood testing school for commercial poultry. Like I said, it's an abbreviated version of our in-person class. It's just the videos, some educational resources, links to external websites. Quiz at the end. Take approximately 30 minutes to complete. And it's open to all poultry company employees. Anybody's welcome to participate. Maybe most useful to hatcheries, which are required to have a PT tester. Like I said, open to anybody that would like to participate. Once you are certified, it's valid for 3 years, and you can send. And then I'll just talk about the course structure really quickly. It's 4 parts. In the first part, I go over a brief introductory overview of the National Poultry Improvement Plan. I then talk about how to properly fill out a VS Form 92. I go over pylori typhoid disease with some information about Salmonella pylori and gallinarum. And then I also explain the pylori typhoid plate testing method for blood testing and go over some of the procedures for the test, principles behind it. Part 2, I actually demonstrate the pylori typhoid plate test in a video. I use PT anti-serum to simulate different results that they might encounter in the field, so I can show them what a strong positive looks like, a weak positive, negative reaction. And then in the third part, it's a video created by the USDA called Preventing Pylori Typhoid. It has a really good segment in it that shows how to do proper bird handling for a large number of birds. So, you know, like a 3-person setup with 1 person holding the wing open and another person puncturing the brachial wing vein to draw blood, the blood test or test. So it has a good demonstration of how to do a large number of birds. It also, like I said, a good visual of how to locate that vein, how to puncture it, collect that blood. And then the last part is just the short 10-question quiz, all very easy, very general questions. Shouldn't have a problem with passing that quiz. We have a 70% minimum, but like I said, it should be pretty easy. And that's it. So, like I said, check it out. Give me any feedback you have. Happy to answer any questions, take any suggestions for improvement. But yeah, this is now live on the website, and it's at that link, inpoultry.com/NPIP ISPA commercial schools.
Do they need to get the link from us directly, or is it
Yes.
actually?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so if you just email Kyle or me or Jeffrey, and there is actually a link that you need to share, so it's not like available to the worldwide.
Yeah, you have to get the link from us and then you. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. We promised that last year at this meeting, so Kyle's been working hard to get that all rolled out, so we're excited about that. Just kind of our year in review, we went to the NPIP biennial conference. Some of those folks are in the room. Thank you for your support. It's always an intense week. I'm not going to go into detail on what all went on there, other than to say we really, we did a lot of preparation in advance. And then while we were at the meeting, there were a number of different proposals that came up and issues we had to work through. And I managed to have some good conversations and come to some consensus, and we were pleased with everything that passed. It either aligned with Indiana's, you know, kind of our going into the meeting stance, or we were able to get the proposal to a point where our delegation was able to support it. So really appreciate all the companies continuing to send people to that. It's a significant investment of your time and effort. Just happy with the way we were able to work through some things and come out pretty well on the other side. So just wanted to highlight some of the things we've done here in the past year. This past October, we hosted a carcass management school. along with Indiana Pork, kind of co-sponsored with them, and University of Maine Extension came in, and we worked with Purdue Extension out of the Animal Science Research and Education Farm to help get a pretty good crowd. You can go ahead and advance of folks. You can see them, they're a little small, but we had a nice crowd of 30+ people, good representation across a lot of our avian companies. And then it was a nice cross section of people just trying to. We had Board of Animal Health. We had that got some more people trained. I think a Purdue Extension person or two. So trying to expand that group of subject matter experts in composting. Kyle went through the class, so it was a bit of a shocker. He'd only been with us for about 6 weeks. So that was great. Next. Okay, there's not a lot on these slides, but I will fill in a whole bunch. So the Indiana General Assembly, it was a long session this year, a budget session. The state budget included, as always, funds for Board of Animal Health, Animal Disease Diagnostic Laboratory, and the Indiana State Department of Agriculture. Those 3 areas were all areas that ISPA focused on advocacy. The group that seemed to need the most help, where I focused most of my time, was the Animal Disease Diagnostic Laboratory. I testified in a couple of committees and, reached out to individual legislators and encouraged the board to call their own senators and representatives to try to get as much funding to ADDL as possible. Ultimately, the things that were gained, and there were some gains through the session, were largely lost at the end when the tax revenue information came in significantly less, and they cut a lot of things. And so some additional funds for Animal Disease Diagnostic Laboratory, which would have helped do some more repairs and cover some increased staffing costs, didn't pass. We have learned since the session ended that the intention is, if revenues come in higher than expected, the plan is to go back and look at things that were originally, in that initial approved version of the budget. And so some more advocacy opportunities probably await to try to keep getting the ADDL needs up high. And Indiana State Department of Agriculture only received partial funding. They only received funding for 1 of the 2 years in the biennium for them to support the Indiana Grain Buyers program. And so that's been a little strange. So we'll keep working on that. We thank Joe Miller here amongst us, worked very hard before session and during session to help inform House and Senate folks about the importance of our grain indemnity programs. The Indiana Grain Buyers warehouse licensing agency that resides within Indiana State Department of Agriculture, and then that Indiana Grain Indemnity Program is more funds that are guided like a board, a freestanding board. There's still some strangeness going on with this. There's talk about maybe it privatizing, but we'll work through that. The important thing here is that this bill did pass. It made some important and very timely corrections to these programs because of a lawsuit that had happened in the previous year that really challenged some of the ways that the program works. So almost all of our avian members are grain licensees. They buy, corn and soybeans as feed. And so it's critical that for a lot of different reasons, but we follow this closely. If you have questions, happy to try. Otherwise, go ahead and hit. All right, this is really tiny, sorry. There was a bill, it came through at the beginning of the session, proposed by Senator Niemeyer. He had proposed a similar bill over the last couple of sessions, asking for an increased number of inspections at either CAFOs, concentrated animal feeding operations, or confined feeding operations. This year's bill is a little different. Yes, for annual inspections at all confined feeding operations. So that would be all confined feeding operations, regardless of size in the state. I worked with Josh Trineri at Indiana Pork. We went and visited with Senator Niemeyer. And we had visited with him in person up in his district a couple years ago about this issue, but he still didn't talk to us in advance of the session, which was quite frustrating. But we went in, sat down and talked with him. He proposed to reduce the number of inspections from annual to just twice during the 5-year. A confined feeding operation permit is a 5-year term, so they're renewed every 5 years. We still kind of pushed back on that with him, but ultimately worked with the Indiana Department of Environmental Management and worked with Senator Niemeyer and a group of people. And what we were able to come up with is really a codification of IDEM's policy. So it looks pretty good on paper and we got this bill passed and it requires these inspections, but IDEM was already doing that. So we just kind of codified that, plus bonus, we get more notice, and there's now a statutory requirement that Indiana Department of Environmental Management follows biosecurity protocols. And we call out Board of Animal Health directly in the statute as being who's kind of in charge of establishing those biosecurity standards. So it was one of those things that definitely went into session thinking, oh no, this is horrible. This is, not a fight we want to have. At the end, coming out with a bill and, eventually law that I think will actually support our industry. I will, one word of warning to share with your contract growers who may hold their own confined feeding operation permits rather than a company permit. They have to give 30 days notice of inspection, but IDEM is trying to do this within a certain window that's legislated in here. And so don't expect to be able to maybe put things off. If that had been your habit in the past, like know that when they call and say, it's your 30 days notice, there's still some wiggle room in there. It's 45 days before or after your renewal application is submitted. But yeah, I think in the past, there had just been a little bit more play, but just to kind of be aware. Any questions there? All right. Wait. Oh, okay, go for it. Good talk.
Just something really quick. It's a fun new opportunity for ISPA / Indiana Turkey Market Development Council. It's World Food Championships. It's coming into the Indianapolis State Fairgrounds, October. TMDC will be there as a sponsor. So basically the World Food Championships, it is the premier food sport competition, multi-day event, chefs and all backyard to the executive chef for a catering company to a restaurant. They compete in teams in different categories. At the end, one team is crowned the winner of the year. Last year, it happened to be the executive chef at the Cunningham Restaurant Group, which is here in Indianapolis. So that was pretty cool. But TMDC will be a sponsor in the Ag Zone, which is basically something new they're doing. It's going to focus on Indiana ag. So many of the commodities are going to be there promoting to the public, because the public is invited to this. They get about 15,000 people that show up. And it's something that we're excited to be participating in, and something new.
The first one, it's been hosted in Dallas, Texas for a long time, but it was just recently moved to Indianapolis. So they had it in November 2024. It was new. We weren't ready to participate in it, but we're excited, to be able to be there and see what it's all about. Maple Leaf has been active in it, was active last year. So yeah, and National Turkey Federation has also been in conversations about participating. So be interesting. All right. Just a little bit more feature. I'll go ahead and highlight some of the things we're doing with the Indiana Turkey Market Development Council. That is some Indiana State Poultry Association. So I end up being the president of that, but also like the executive director of the Turkey Market Development Council. So they really are separately funded, but I think it's good for you to have some sense of what's going on there. So we've had a lot of presence in publications, the Indiana Soy Corn Magazine, Farm Bureau, our Rural Electric cooperatives put out some magazines. We've been there. We've been on Hoosier Ag Today. Just trying to get out there and really engage with our Indiana neighbors. And we do a certain amount of, customer, try to drive interest in consumption in turkey, but it's more being present and involved in our communities. So lots of different recipes and stuff tomorrow. We haven't even sorted this out yet, but tomorrow we are going to be down at the Johnson County Fairgrounds for the Hoosier Barbecue Classic. If you are looking for something to do, come on down. It is fun. It's an interesting culture, competition barbecue. You can walk around and talk to folks and look at their elaborate like trailers with great grilling things. But there's a turkey category there. We've also had great fun with turkey trots across the state. I think we're up to 10 turkey trots. Is that right? Sorry, I'm kind of taking your thunder here. Okay, this is Jeffrey's thing. So these are the Thanksgiving morning, go out and, do 3K, 5K, but really trying to build our presence there. So if we would try to be in kind of poultry, areas, so you might see us. All right, I think that's enough. We have royalty in our presence. Mr. Joe Miller was our Golden Egg Award winner at the banquet in February. Very much enjoyed getting to celebrate Joe and his many contributions to ISPA. He is very good about answering my phone and has helped, not just while I've been here, but certainly with Paul. So thank you, Joe. It was a good night.
Thank everybody here. It's a great honor. I appreciate it.
Well deserved. Some fun photos from that night. We continue to try to make this a great opportunity for networking, a good celebration of the industry, and a nice way to highlight who we are to our Indiana state legislators. So appreciate your attendance, participation, sponsorship. Always open to suggestions. You see something you like at some other event, suggest it to us. We can figure out a way to work it in. But really proud overall of how well this event highlights poultry. We're actually there and we're eating the products that we produce here in Indiana and highlighting them in really amazing ways. So, right. All right, Jeffrey, why don't you talk about this? Since I saw the TMDC.
Another group. We participate in events with the Indiana Family of Farmers. It's a collaborative organization of the different ag groups in the state. So I go and sit with the committee. One thing we did this year was an old event made new again, Farm to Capital. We were at the Capitol Fairgrounds on National Ag Day. We all had different booths promoting, educating on our
State House law.
The State House lawn. That's what I meant. Yes. So yeah, it was actually very well attended by a bunch of legislators. So just general people that FFA happened to be there as well. So they showed up in the afternoon and walked around and got stuff. We had a little trivia game so that as you went to every booth, you had to answer a question. At the end, you got a free bag of popcorn because popcorn is the state official snack. And we handed out lots of swag to everybody and it went so well. I think we're going to try and make it an annual thing. Well, it's shifted around based on the legislative schedule. So it was good that we had it this year on National Ag Day because they were still in session. Next year, they would be out of session. And if we were to do it in session, there'd probably be snow on the ground. So we'll probably shift it around. But yeah, it's a good event.
Thank you. This Indiana Family of Farmers is a nice group that Jeffrey participates in. It's really the communications folks from a lot of our other kind of barnyard organizations. One of their main goals is to be in good connection with each other and talking about crisis communication. So they're doing some fun stuff like this, but they're also building relationships. So they're there for each other and able to communicate well. Oh, tell Michelle she can come. Okay. Welcome. All right, next. We do have our regular events are on the schedule and coming up. So Wednesday, September 10th, we will be back at the Fort Golf Course here in Indianapolis. The website for the golf registrations will go live right after 4th of July, or that week after 4th of July. We're trying to get that done. And then, pardon me. Our banquet is a little earlier than usual. It's a short session for the legislature, but we were also trying to work around IPPE. So we will be talking with you earlier in October about sponsorships and that sort of thing. So January 20th, get that on your calendar. What's next? All right, we will next meet at the end of September. We're going to be in Indianapolis. I have this room held right now. Also, there's an alternative site I'm continuing to look at. But as Avian and allied members, you are welcome at the open portions of our board meetings throughout the year. So we have a closed board meeting that's specific to our board of directors, but you are welcome to come during our open meetings throughout the year. Right now we are scheduled for November 24th for the governor's presentation, and I have a hold on the Indiana Farm Bureau room downtown. That date is subject to change. We don't really get a sense of the governor's schedule until sometime in late August, early September. So hoping that's the Monday right before Thanksgiving. Hopefully that sticks, but that's the plan. All right, what else do we have? I hope that you've been receiving the perch and enjoying reading that. We enjoy putting it together, but it can be quite a lift. So definitely interested in any feedback, suggestions for improvements there. That's our newsletter. Please, I attach it as a PDF. You are welcome. I'm happy to add people to my email list if you want to share email addresses to me. Otherwise, feel free to send it out to the other employees in your company. But I have a fairly, that is not limited to just ISPA members. I have been trying to do a pretty good group of friends in there. So, have any suggestions for that? Happy to hear them. If not now, might be later. We do continue to have a significant small flock outreach as part of our core mission. I do that through a variety of ways. Our website is really the best place to go to figure things out there. You can request free materials. This is one of those things where you can be an ambassador in your community, especially as more and more people take up backyard birds. Direct them here. There are lots of good resources and we can work with them. We also we can pay for testing for people who have birds, some health issues and that sort of thing. So really try to be supportive of the backyard flock as we can. Okay, what's next? We got to be running out of slides. Okay, so lunch, I believe, is already here.
Kathy,
Yes, sir.
you skipped over the bylaws and articles, and that probably should be.
So earlier today, we approved new articles of incorporation and bylaws. This includes a change to the number of ballots that avian and allied companies or members get for our ISPA elections. We will post those articles and bylaws within the member clicks area Jeffrey was talking about, so that members can go in and access them and review them. If you have questions about basically the board structure and how the board works is largely what you find there. The articles of incorporation will share with the Secretary of State. The bylaws are really more internal. But if you're ever wondering how it all works, what it looks like under the hood, that's the articles of incorporation and bylaws, and we will put those under member clicks so our members can access. Thank you, Jared. All right. Thanks.
Adjourn for lunch.
I will go to kind of just new business. Is there anything that any member present would like to bring before the board this time? Thank you for your participation and your membership. We appreciate having you. And yeah, we can move on to lunch.